Welcome. This is a public hearing of the Common Council for Tuesday, May 13th, 2025. And I'm calling this hearing to order at 6:03 p.m. I'd ask our clerk to call the roll.
Alderman Simpson.
Present.
Alderwoman Scott.
Here.
Alderwoman McAdam.
Here.
Alderman McNamara.
Here.
Alderman Malinowski. Alderman Russell. Alderman Hargraves. Here. Alderwoman Barbosa. Alderwoman Boulogne Saavedra. Alderman Connors. Here. Alderman Gibson. Here. Alderman Pabon. Alderwoman Sanchez. Alderman Santiago. Alderman Smedley. 8 present. You have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. I'd ask the clerk to read into the record notice of public hearing unless
Mr. Chair,
Alderman Hargraves.
I make a motion to waive the reading of the legal notice.
Second.
All those in favor? It's a vote. Just the way we rehearsed it. The motion having been read, having been noticed properly, we will begin a public hearing. Anybody wishing to speak, please state your name and address for the record and limit your speaking time to 3 minutes. This public hearing is for one item: authorization for the City of New Britain to join the Connecticut Municipal Development Authority, CMDA, as a member municipality. Are there any speakers? Any speakers? Any speakers? Hearing none?
No one calling in, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hearing none, the public hearing for this matter is closed at 6:05 p.m. The special meeting of the zoning subcommittee will begin shortly.
Testing.
All righty. Good evening, everybody. I'm going to call to order the May 13th, 2025 Zoning Subcommittee Public Hearing and Regular Meeting. The time is now 6:08 p.m. Mr. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderman Simpson,
I think I'm here.
Alderwoman Scott, Alderwoman
here.
McAdam, Alderman McNamara,
Here.
Alderman Malinowski, Alderman Russell, Alderman Hargreaves, Alderwoman Barbosa,
Here.
Alderwoman Boulogne Saavedra, Alderman Connors, Alderman Gibson, Alderman Pabon, Alderwoman Sanchez, Alderman Santiago, Alderman Smedley. 8 present, you have a quorum.
Beautiful, thank you. And Mr. Clerk, will you please read into the record the notice of the public hearing?
Mr. Chairman,
Alderman McNamara.
I move we waive the reading of the public hearing.
Alrighty, I have a motion to waive the reading from Alderman McNamara, seconded by Alderman Gibson. All in favor say aye. All opposed nay. The ayes have it. The reading is waived. Alrighty, so having been properly noticed, we will begin the public hearing. Please remember to state your name and address for the record and limit your speaking time to 3 minutes. Item 1 on our public hearing is item number 36758, Anthony V., I apologize if I'm mispronouncing this, Schiavone Jr., of Vindicator Cycle and Auto LLC seeks granting of a certificate of location approval to allow state DMV issuance of a motor vehicle repairer and dealer license for property known as 150 Production Court, Suite 2, New Britain. Are there any speakers on this item? Are there any speakers on this item? Any speakers? Are there any callers?
No callers.
Okay, seeing no speakers, we will close the public hearing and move on to the, the regular meeting. The time is now 6:10 p.m. First item on our agenda is item number 36758. May I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Alderman McNamara.
I make a motion to accept and refer to the full council with a neutral recommendation.
All right, we have a motion made by Alderman McNamara to refer this back to the council with a neutral recommendation, seconded by Alderman Connors. Is there any discussion on this item? Oh, I'm sorry. At this time, I'd like to call up Jack Benjamin to read into the record the City Plan Commission recommendation. Oh, and just let the record show Alderwoman Sanchez joins us at 6:11.
Good evening. So this is for a certificate of location approval for Vindicator Cycles at 150 Production Court. The City Plan Commission's recommendation is that the area of this building has been used as auto repair in the past and was already granted a variance by the Zoning Board of Appeals to allow the proposed use. Suite 2 contains the necessary repair components and the site has adequate parking. City Plan recommends approval of the dealer's repair's location approval application.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on this? Alrighty, seeing no further discussion, the motion to refer with a neutral recommendation, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay. The ayes have it. Back to the council with a neutral recommendation. I have a motion to adjourn made by Alderman Hargreaves, seconded by Alderwoman Sanchez. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay. The ayes have it. We are adjourned. The time is now 6:12 p.m. But please hang out because we have a secondary meeting coming up. Mr. Clerk, ready? And I call to order the May 13th, 2025 Committee on Planning, Zoning, and Housing public hearing and special meeting. The time is now 6:12 p.m. Mr. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderman Simpson,
Present.
Alderwoman Scott,
Here.
Alderwoman Barbosa, Alderwoman McAdam, Alderman McNamara,
Here.
Alderwoman Boulogne Saavedra, Alderman Malinowski, Alderman Russell, Alderman Hargreaves. Also seated is Alderwoman Sanchez, and Alderman Gibson.
Thank you. And is this a quorum?
Yes.
Thank you. And will you please read into the record the notice of the public hearing?
Mr. Chairman,
Alderman McNamara.
I'm prepared to move that we waive the reading of the legal notice.
All right, we have a motion to waive the reading made by Alderman McNamara, seconded by Alderwoman Sanchez. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The reading is waived. So having been noticed properly, we will begin the public hearing. Please remember to state your name and address for the record and limit your speaking time to 3 minutes. The item number for this public hearing is item number 36814, amendment to Chapter 15 of the Code of Ordinances to add sections on automated traffic enforcement and safety devices. Are there any speakers for this item? Are there any speakers for this item? Any speakers for this item? Do we have any callers?
No callers.
Thank you. So seeing no speakers, we will close the public hearing and move on to the special meeting. The time is now 6:14 p.m. The first item on our agenda is item number 36814. May I have a motion?
Mr. Chair,
Alderman Hargreaves.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept and refer the item number 36814 to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Is there a second? All right, seeing no second, I'm going to move on here. Alderman McNamara?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to accept and refer with a neutral recommendation for the purposes of discussion.
Okay. Is there a second? All
I
right.
think Alderman McNamara, are you seconding, I think you're going to second Alderman Hargrave's motion.
No, Alderman Hargrave's motion was for a favorable recommendation.
Okay, now that
McNamara's
fails,
is
and this
for
is your
neutral.
motion. Okay, I got you. All right, thank you.
Thank you for looking out. We're on, just give me 1 second. We're, yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And who was the second, if there was one?
The second was Alderwoman Sanchez.
Thank you.
Thank you. And, let's see here.
It actually can't be Alderwoman Sanchez. She's not voting.
Oh,
She's an alternate, but she's not seated.
Oh, gotcha.
Well, she's seated, but she can't second.
I see. All righty.
Second.
Just give me 1 second. Is there a second for Alderman McNamara's motion?
Second.
Okay, a second from Alderwoman Scott. All right. Now, is there any discussion on this? And I'd like to call up Mark Moriarty and Carl Gienza for any potential questions. All righty, seeing no further discussion, the motion to refer with a neutral recommendation. All in favor, say aye.
Well, we want Mr. Moriarty and Mr.
Yeah.
Ganza to come up.
Could we ask Mr. Moriarty to come up? And I think there may be questions about this with regard to Vision Zero and other issues. If he's,
I'll allow it.
Sure.
Thanks.
Okay. Why I wanted to pass this out is I just wanted to show, like, this is the very first step in a lot of steps to even have this go forth. Having an ordinance adopted that just enables us to do it. it's step one on the list. It's only one of several things that would have to be accepted by the council. The plan would also need to be accepted by the council. So you don't need to have everything necessarily figured out tonight to do this. I can answer any questions you have about the automated traffic signal devices tonight, about the process we intend to go through. But the ordinance itself is just the first of many steps. It's going to take quite a while to get through this.
Okay, so, thanks, Mark. Just a couple of questions. So, this is enabling legislation at the state level to allow communities to utilize this kind of equipment?
I mean, the state passed legislation that allows us to use this kind of equipment. This is just a local ordinance that allows us personally to use this kind of equipment.
Okay, and we're expecting the report from the Vision Zero recommendations at the end of this month, is that true?
The safety action plan, the draft plan will be done in about a couple weeks, and we're expecting to wrap it up by the end of June. We already have, actually I even have a copy with me, but we did an initial study on ATSDs and what they would look like in school zones. And just because what was passed and DOT's requirements for it had limitations on like number of units you could put in any census tract. There's a lot, it was a very cumbersome process to even see what it could look like in a community. Because they didn't want, how the legislation was passed, they didn't want you having multiple speed enforcement or stops enforcement, red light enforcement cameras in one targeted area. So they wanted to have it limited. So we had to break a map into the census tracts, apply the language from DOT to make sure that the areas, because our intent was initially to look at school zones. We had to compare where there was speeding or speed crash related incidents in school zones and how they compared to the census tracts, and even to understand where we maybe would put cameras. So we did a study to that level. It isn't a full and complete study that we would then submit to the state for approval, but we just wanted to have an idea like where it might make sense to put cameras, and then also where we could put cameras based on the requirements in the state. So it's even available on the Vision Zero New Britain website. If you look at the data section, there's PowerPoints on there. There's some different things. I do have a copy if you want to get it.
Any information you have for us would be gladly accepted.
Okay. I mean, those of you that are on the task force have probably seen this before, but.
And, Mr. Chairman, can I don't know if I'm jumping in too early, but is this paid for by grant, the cost of this? Can you unpack that?
I mean, so, Colganza and I sat on there's a lot of communities that are working on this. There's a lot of communities ahead of us on this. Hartford's already selected their negotiations with a vendor. New Haven's in negotiations with a vendor. A lot of communities have already submitted, Middletown, a lot of communities have already submitted their plan to OSTA. What basically most communities are doing, and we sat on a interview panel for vendors at CROG. They pre-qualified 3 vendors. CJ and I were on the interview panel with a couple people from CROG interviewing vendors, shortlisted 3. It's it's not like, this is intended to increase safety, but the cost of the program is really paid for by the infractions, and the vendor takes money out of, there's a certain amount of money per camera that is covered by the cost of the infractions, and they, keep a share of that. So basically, most of the vendors will enter an agreement that this is at no cost to the community.
Okay, and it's just a couple of follow-ups. I don't want to hog the mic, but, so I run a red light in my Corolla, which I've never done. And who sees that, and how does it get back to the city in terms of the fine?
I mean, initially, so with a red light, we're not intending on moving on red lights at this point. I mean, maybe we will, I don't know. But I mean, at least the thought is that we're gonna just do this for speed enforcement. I mean, our thought is school zones. If there's a location in the city that people are like, this is a terrible speeding area, we really should put enforcement here. If it meets the other criteria like census tracts and things like that, I mean, nothing's stopping us from doing that. But really the plan initially was just to start with school zones. I think there's about 7 locations that would make sense. And so if you do in your Corolla are speeding through one of the school zones, the very first time this happened, in the first 30 days, you would be given a warning. So you wouldn't be given any infraction. The second time, you would be issued a $50 ticket. Once, let's say, the camera takes a picture of your vehicle, it verifies your vehicle and the plate issued match. So just to make sure that this isn't a plate that's on a car that isn't associated with it. If that happened, that would be weeded out. Once the information is gathered, most likely a police officer needs to sign off on every citation that is going to be issued to make sure that it's valid. So there's a requirement in the state legislation that somebody local has to sign off on it prior to anything being issued. Ticket gets issued. There is an appeal process that's required under the ordinance that's before you, also under the state legislation. If you don't pay it, I think after a certain amount of time, I think another thing in the ordinance is like if you never pay these, we could have the ability to tow your vehicle if we find it. But it's pretty basic process. I think if you are speeding through it, the vendors that we interviewed said that you could expect a 60% reduction in speeding immediately, and then 80% reduction. Violations go down pretty quickly too. People that get warnings, they said typically don't get. And the other thing about this is that the locations that these cameras are, there's signage requirements that notify the driver ahead of them. They're not just placed where you don't have any idea where they are. You have to ignore, I think, 2 signs that are warning you that there's a speed enforcement camera, and then still drive through the area speeding. So it's pretty hard to get, trapped in a situation where one of these exists. I mean, almost so many communities, the only one that actually started so far is Washington, but Middletown is going, Middletown, Weathersfield, Bristol, Hartford, New Haven, Stanford, Greenwich. I mean, almost every community I talk to is in some process of adopting this in their community.
They're all in process or fully implemented, if I may?
There's a number of them that have applications into OSTA. You need to get approved to DOT's OSTA office. So that's been a slow process. So there's a couple that are getting close to being approved, but Hartford and New Haven are in negotiations with the same vendor that would be their contractor.
Alderwoman Barbosa.
I have a couple questions. Through this task force, how was this decided on that we were going to come up with these enforcement devices, and were there other solutions that were talked about? And why were they not mentioned or included in the decision-making?
I mean, the only thing that gets batted around, I know, in petitions are speed humps and things like that. I mean, I think we've been back and forth on that. And the other, I'm a professional engineer. I was a transportation engineer before I came into the city. I'm on the state's Bike Ped Advisory Committee. I'm looked at as an expert on those issues in the state. We're known as a leader in like complete streets and work that makes like an environment that's as safe as possible for pedestrians and vehicles, and balance in that relationship. We have done, if you look at the downtown area, so when people do a Vision Zero initiative, and this is something that's kind of annoying to me actually, what they look at is engineering solutions. And the engineering solutions that they look at, we've done approaching $70 million of just those kind of things, like bump outs, trees, bricks, like everything that you can do to make an environment that slows down traffic. Despite that, we still have crash rates that are above state averages. And let's see, the engineering is the thing that most communities look like they're going to do, and they're going to be able to achieve Vision Zero, reduce their crashes. I mean, I'm the first one to ever say, and I've got more credibility in this because we've done more of this kind of work than almost anybody, that in itself does not work. So your other things you need to do are education and enforcement. The police are doing more enforcement, and honestly, if you're driving with, one thing I notice, because driving on the highway right now, you see the latest number is 75 fatalities on state roads. We're almost halfway through the year. Police have been doing a lot more enforcement on the highways. That number last year was about 300. It's been over 300. So we're on pace for about 200 fatalities statewide this year, and there's a lot more enforcement. We need to increase our enforcement, and the police are increasing that kind of enforcement. But if we're very serious about reducing crashes and speed and aggressive driving is a large percentage of why we have crashes, this is the best mechanism for doing that. It's been shown to be effective throughout the country, and that's why this was so strongly considered and recommended. We also did a community-wide survey with over 500 respondents and asked the specific questions about enforcement and speed enforcement, and people overwhelmingly were in favor of this in the survey that we did. So, I mean, that's why we went down this path.
Through you, Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
So we're saying that the accidents are occurring due to speeding. The crash rates are due to speeding. A lot of it also has to do with not being the smarter driver, and the hits can also be the cause of the pedestrian as well. How, you mentioned that a lot of the crash rates occur due to aggressiveness, and it could be road rage and all of that, chasing one another. But in reality, speeding, it's not really a crash. It's not really causing a lot of car accidents within New Britain. I think it's careless driving. I think it's one driver wanting to be better than the next, driver not being smart, because down residential streets, you see people driving past where there should be speed bumps, because you can't have a camera you won't have a camera down a residential street going from one end to the other end. There's a lot of speeding that goes on in those streets, and those streets will not be monitored. So how are we going to protect residents in those areas the same way that we're going to try and protect them on the main roads? Because a lot of the accidents, a lot of the speeding occurs in residential areas where police do not monitor. You might have the accident that happen on the busy roads, especially like the one north in Stanley, but I think that's because of the way that whole area is just set up. It's an ugly area to drive by, no matter what time of day it is. It's very unsafe. But there's got to be other mechanisms, other solutions to be able to help everyone in the city, not just the main roads.
Okay, so the beautiful thing about doing the safety action plan through Vision Zero is that we looked at all data and the locations of crashes and the locations of serious injuries and fatalities. And what you overwhelmingly see is in the residential neighborhoods, there are very minimal crashes, serious injuries, or fatalities. Where they're located are on pretty much in the roads that have high volume, mostly commercial areas actually too, like by the mall, the downtown area, not in the residential areas. The residential areas are seeing less. I'm not saying people aren't driving distracted. I'm not saying people aren't speeding, but it doesn't show up in high crash rates, injuries, or fatalities. So this is a comprehensive look at data. So we're not making emotional decisions on this. It's like data-driven decisions, which I think is good. On the pedestrian issue, we're doing a whole separate initiative right now. I'm writing a grant for it right as we speak. So we just did a study last week, we did this exercise with the Vision Zero Task Force, actually looked at some intersections in compliance by pedestrians. But then last week what we did is took video footage from different intersections and actually counted and looked at conformance by pedestrians at the different intersections. And you want to guess how many people actually pay attention and follow an exclusive ped phase? I'm looking, anybody, any numbers, percentage-wise? You might be a pessimist, but I'm just, because, it was 7%, which is insane. So we're looking at doing concurrent ped phasing, which basically cross with the opposing green. The same study, when we looked at it, there's almost 40% people that actually come that already, even though it's not what we do, they cross the road with the opposing green. Honestly, I was on North Street last week, and we're looking at that because we're looking at a project over there, and at MLK, and even handicapped people cross concurrently with the opposing green. I mean, people with walkers, that's how they cross the road. So we're looking at 22 intersections downtown and putting in a grant that's due next week to go concurrent downtown. What it will do is it has our system be more in compliance with how people behave. It changes the expectation to drivers that there are going to be pedestrians in the road. So we're going to have to do a big public education plan. But the truth is that pedestrians are already in the road. So why are we going to have a system that makes you think they're not going to be on the road and sets this expectation they're not when they're clearly going to? So we are working on that issue in parallel. So that's probably between that and this, these are our two first step projects on really trying to make a serious effort at addressing these things. In addition to just all the engineering projects that we're doing that are trying to make the sidewalks and places safer.
Any other? Alderwoman Scott.
Yeah, I had some questions about the study. Who were the participants?
For the pedestrian study?
Yeah, the study that you did.
I mean, for that, there aren't really participants. Traffic cameras have video detection.
Okay, so it's a video.
So we could just look at a video
Data.
for an hour. We know
So
which
that's how you-
hours.
Okay,
through the safety action plan, we know which hours have the highest rates of pedestrian crashes. We looked at some of those to get a gauge of what hours we should be looking at, and we just looked at compliance, and honestly, you could have chosen any freaking hour out there for compliance. There's 7%. I mean, Alderwoman Barbosa probably could be correct at 2% on some hours. I mean, there's not a lot of compliance on that thing. That's why it's dangerous to be a driver and a pedestrian.
Yeah, I think I'd like to look over the data and have more time, so I'd like to make a motion to call a question.
We have a motion to call the question. All in favor?
I was previously recognized and I was never had an opportunity to speak.
Come again?
I was previously recognized to speak after Alderman McNamara. I never had the opportunity to speak, so just taking that in question before we vote on this.
We're leasing,
Go
thank you, Mr. Chair. We're leasing this equipment? No, we own it.
No,
Call the
no.
question.
Alderman McNamara, I believe.
Or the terms of the agreement.
A motion to call the question.
All right, let me withdraw my question.
I believe. Would the Alderwoman withdraw her motion Corporation Counsel? Can an alderperson withdraw the motion to call the question?
Absolutely.
Okay, so if she desires to, she may.
I don't
do
desire
apologize,
to.
Alderman Hargraves. That was a slip. That was an error on my behalf.
I don't desire to, so.
Alderwoman Scott, you do not you want to maintain your motion? Is there a second?
Is there a second? Come again?
Well, in that case,
Sorry, I just want to recognize,
John
Alderwoman
saying
Belanger
something?
Saavedra joined us. The time, I believe, was 6:39 at the time. Mr. Clerk, may you remind us of the members of this committee so everybody knows who's voting?
It's underneath the podium.
Oh, see. Thank you. Alrighty, so the members of this committee are Alderman Nathan Simpson, Candace Scott, Wilma Barbosa, Lori McAdam, John McNamara, Sharon Belanger Saavedra, Matthew Malinowski, Alden Russell, and Jarrell Hargraves. I believe Alderwoman Belanger Saavedra is now sitting in for one of the Red Caucus members? No, I'm on the committee. You're on the committee. Oh, I see.
Mr.
Oh,
Chairman?
I see. I have a copy of the changes from before.
Mr. Chairman?
Alderman McNamara.
My view is that we're going to get the,
Alderman,
There was not
Ri-
a second, so there is no motion.
well, there is a motion here. There are several concurring events going on. I'd like to get back to the motion and just address it. Is there a second? I have a second from Alderwoman McAdam. Thank you. I apologize for the confusion.
Stand up, Jason.
Alderwoman Belanger Saavedra, you will not come into this meeting and command members of this committee. You are not the chairman. You do not.
I'll talk to my members anytime I want, Mr. Chair.
You can.
I can.
That does not make you right.
Doesn't make me wrong either.
Okay, well, I do not recognize two members standing. There will be
That's
no
fair
roll
enough.
call.
That's
We will
fair
take
enough.
this vote now. All in favor of table, it was to call the question. Okay, so we have a motion to recommend to the council with a neutral recommendation. All in favor, please say aye. I recognize one aye. All opposed, say nay.
nay,
There's two nays. This motion fails, and I believe this item stays within the committee.
Actually, no, Mr. Chair. We're
Oh, no,
back
to not call the question.
We're back to discussion.
Thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
Very appreciated.
The good Alderwoman asked to call the question, meaning to end debate. We are not ending debate, so we're back to discussion.
Correct.
Now, the chair, of course, it's up to you to determine how long we want to go with debate. Of course, at some point, maybe ask alderpersons if there's anyone else and kind of move things along. But as far as debate goes, there is no end at this point, technically speaking.
Until the chair decides?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm setting this to bed. We are, what is the official term for this, corporation
I mean,
counsel?
you know, the chair controls the meeting, so if the chair wants to say any further discussion, maybe recognize a few others, it's up to you.
Okay. Alderman McNamara.
I'm thinking in light of the draft Vision Zero, and I know Alderman Blanks-Vader's joined us as a part of that, draft recommendations coming in a couple of weeks, where we'll have a clear picture of all the things, all the elements, at least in terms of driver education, roundabouts, potential use of these devices. I'm wondering, would it be advisable to table this authorization until we receive that report?
Is that a motion, Alderman?
So I'll make a motion to table.
Second.
Alrighty, I have a motion to table this item by Alderman McNamara, seconded by Alderwoman Scott. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
No.
The ayes have it. Thank you. This item is tabled. We have a motion to adjourn made by
Second.
Alderman Hargrave, seconded by Alderwoman Scott. All in
We have
We have
another
another
item,
item on
Mr.
the
Chairman?
agenda, I
Is
believe.
there another item?
Authorization to join Connecticut Municipal Development Authority, CMDA, as a member of municipality.
Yes, that I am acknowledging there are further agenda items and that there are committee members suggesting we adjourn.
Well, and that is
Corporation
correct, Alderman
Counsel, go ahead.
Hargraves. Are you maintaining your motion to adjourn? I withdraw. Okay, thank you.
The motion is withdrawn by Alderman Hargraves. All righty. So the next item on our agenda is item number 36815, authorization for joining the Connecticut Municipal Development Authority as a member municipality. May I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Alderman McNamara.
I make a motion that we accept and refer to the full council with a neutral recommendation.
Is there a second? Going once, twice, 3 times. All right, the motion, there is no second. I'm sorry, Alderman.
I-
I believe we now have pending business or unfinished business.
I'm sorry, I thought Alderman Hargraves seconded the motion. He did not?
It was after I recognized there being no second, but I'll allow it if that's okay.
It's up to you,
Uh,
Mr. Chair.
A point of privilege,
Alderman McNamara,
Mr.
go
Chairman.
ahead.
Would you recognize Alderman Hargrave's second?
As a good faith measure, yes. Okay, so we have a motion to recommend this back to the council with a neutral recommendation. And is there any discussion? As a reminder, Jack Benjamin is in attendance for any questions.
Yeah.
Alderman Hargraves, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to use this time to say that I'm extremely disappointed that I was not recognized in the previous resolution. As a member of this committee, it was pretty clear that I wanted to speak, and
Alderman
the
Hargraves.
table was made, and I'm reclaiming my time. The table was made, and you guys understood that I wanted to speak on this resolution. So I want to use this opportunity to say that I'm extremely disappointed that I was not recognized as a member of this committee and as a second longest running continuous member of this council that's on this committee right now. So I'm extremely disappointed, and I think that we should continue to have discussion and not table it while we're sitting here. And there's members here that want to continue to speak about it. So that's all I have to say, and I do support this resolution, this next one as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I support this resolution as well, and I have apologized to you for that, and I share that frustration. I, as a member of this body, not on the committee, but on the Common Council, have been oversought by people standing at this very podium. So while we are imperfect, I do wish to make this an inclusive space. I hear you. All righty. Is there any discussion on item 2?
Through you, Mr. Chair,
Alderman McNamara.
I'd like to invite Mr. Benjamin, who's very knowledgeable about this, to explain the CMDA, the opportunities for grants, and what membership in New Britain's membership in this would mean.
Certainly. So the Connecticut Municipal Development Authority is a quasi-public agency established by state statute. And its focus is on building housing in transit-oriented development areas, specifically around transit station areas. So it's an entirely opt-in body. It's elective. As a municipality, you have the opportunity to opt in and be a part of it and unlock the tools in the toolbox that CMDA provides. Specifically for us, we have relatively dense zoning around our transit stations, Central Business District, TOD EM 1 and 2, and TOD ES 1 and 2. So because we've established this zoning already, we basically qualify to be a member of this body without having to do any overhaul or additional sort of increase in density at this point. The executive director will consult with us throughout this process. I will look to him to see if there's any specific suggestions that we could take back and do any sort of zoning improvement with. But as it stands right now, we have the zoning essentially to be a member of this body. It will open us up to grant funding specifically aimed at filling voids in capital stacks for development projects.
Any more?
No, that was very succinct. Thank you.
Very educational. Thank you, Mr. Benjamin. Alderman Hargreaves.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I was recently reading about this organization in a newspaper, and I see that they do a great job at helping municipalities achieve grant funding in TOD areas. So I'm glad that we're going to try to be a member of this organization. Are you aware of any state funding that's being part of it this legislative session?
Not. So initially, the way that CMDA was funded was with its operational expenses for the first year, so administrative, salary, and that sort of thing to get the organization just off the ground. I believe that they have something in for this legislative cycle. I'm just not quite sure what that ask is. But that's essentially when that funding gets approved, that's the pot of money that can be tapped into by member municipalities.
Perfect, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Any other discussion on this item? All right, seeing none, I believe we have a motion to refer this back to the council with a neutral recommendation. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you. We've reached the end of our agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn? Thank you. We have a motion to adjourn made by Alderman Hargreaves.
Second.
We have a second by Alderwoman Scott. All in favor, please say aye. All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. We are adjourned. The time is 6:50.